Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to another episode of the Cider Drinker. And today I bring to you a vintage cider. I love myself some vintage ones. Today's vintage cider is Henry Weston's 2010 vintage. Now, for those of you who don't know what a vintage cider is, it's basically the cider maker's pick of the crop for that particular year, and they're usually some of the strongest ciders that you can actually get off store shelves too, obviously not including real ciders that you can get off certain cider brewers and everything. But yeah, for off the store shelf ciders, vintage ones are pretty much some of the strongest ones you can get. And, well, you can't really get much stronger than Henry Weston's ones, that's for sure. But you'll find out in a sec, because here's some details on Henry Weston's vintage. Henry Weston's vintage cider comes in 500ml bottles, and that's the only way you can get it as well. The alcohol percentage is 8.2% in volume, which is one of the strongest ciders you can actually get off the store shelves if you discount white ciders, that is. It's medium dry in taste apparently, and the price, well, directly off the Weston's website at the moment it's £1.89, and that does seem to be the general price in other stores as well, so if you see it for any dearer than that, then don't buy it, just get it off their website. There we are then. Yes, like you said, this bad boy here is 8.2% in volume. I think cider strength goes up to 8.4%. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but if that's the case, that is pretty much almost the top end of strength for ciders. I think if it goes past 8.4, it becomes something entirely different, although I'm not quite sure what. But, yeah, well, this bottle design is pretty much the same as the other Henry Weston's cider ones I've done, although you can definitely tell it's the vintage one because it's got the nice gold label on the front rather than just plain colours like white or red that I've done in the past. But it's still got the good old picture of Henry Weston on the front himself. But on the back it has a little description. It says, a distinguished special reserve medium dry sparkling cider, made using only the very best Herefordshire cider apples from a single year's harvest, traditionally crafted and slowly aged in 200-year-old oak vats to deliver a full-bodied cider with a long lingering finish and an aroma simply bursting with fruit. Delicious on its own or with cheese and meats. Weston cider has been produced in the village of Muchmarkle for over 130 years. Well, 200-year-old oak vats, you must expect a woody kind of texture coming off of this one. But there's only one thing left to do, that is to get old Henry Weston's top off. So, let me just do that. Boom. There we go. Right, let's give this whole thing a whiff. Wow. You can smell the strength coming off of it, that is for sure. Whoo boy, yes. Wow. That does smell incredibly strong. Blimey. But you can also get the woody kind of texture coming off of it too, which is obviously the oak fats bursting through with the flavour. So, let's pour this whole thing into my Thatcher's Gold glass and see what it looks like. Now, it's been quite a while since I've actually had a vintage cider, so needless to say, I'm looking forward to having this one. The other one that I have had is Thatcher's Vintage, but like I said, I haven't had that one in quite a while, so I don't know. I think the last time I had it was a couple of years ago, so obviously it was the 2007 vintage. And obviously tastes can differ between years, so we'll see how this one tastes. But there we go, this is Henry Weston's vintage cider for you. Kind of light in colour, very clear, see you guys through it. Lots of, well, there's quite a lot of tiny bubbles, but I can see a few large ones too coming through on that one. But overall, pretty lightly sparkling, I'd say. Now then, let's just see what it smells like in the glass. Slightly more subdued smell coming off of it, actually. Like I say, the bottleneck obviously traps all the vapours coming out of it, and you really get that massive hit coming off of it. But it does still smell strong, but like I say, you know, it has dulled down a little bit. But as with all these cider tasting things, it is all about the taste. So, without further ado, bottoms up. Cool, blimey. Wow, I actually forgot how strong that was. Core, blimey, blimey, blimey. Wow. Okay, you instantly can taste the strength in it. You really can. It's just instantly hits you coming off of it. However, what I will say is it is very full-bodied. It's almost got kind of like a thick consistency to it, I've got to say. And also, the first initial taste is very appley in flavour, I must say. And then right at the end you get the really, really smoky flavour coming off, and it really, really lingers at the back of your throat, like it says on the back of the bottle. But let's just get a second opinion to be sure. Very, very strong first taste. It really, really hits you right at the start, and then you get that and then you get the taste of the apples coming through, and it's very, very rich, I must say. And then right at the end you get that woody, oaky aftertaste to it, and it really does linger right at the back of your throat. It really does stay with you. It doesn't just immediately dissipate and just say, oh well, that's it, you got to have another taste now. With this one, the flavours just really stay through in your throat. Wow. But yeah, this is very strong, I must say. You can't have too many of these things, otherwise you'll just be out on your face, that is for sure. You've got slight, excuse me, belchy. Very deep, really rich apple flavours coming off of this. It's yeah, it's not bitter, but again, it's not sweet. It really is just the right blend of flavours coming off of this. So you can definitely tell that they have really just picked the very best apples for these particular vintage ciders. You really can taste the difference between you know, this vintage version and like all the other ones that I've done, like the extra dry and everything. So yeah, if you're looking for a very top-notch quality vintage cider, I'd recommend trying out Henry Weston's Vintage. You can get this one in quite a few stores from the looks of it, so it's really not that hard to find, but it is really worth it. I mean, £1.89, you know, I've seen a lot more expensive ciders on the store shelves, so you know, it's not really going to put you out of pocket. And for the strength of it as well, you're really going to have a damn good time with it too. Let's just get a final taste. Wow. I'm going to take my time with that one, that's for sure. Oh boy. Very, very smoky, very oaky. And I could just say, a really rich, full-bodied and overall delicious cider. For me, Henry Weston's 2010 Vintage gets an 8 out of 10 off of me. The only reason it doesn't really get any higher is because, well, because it is obviously 8.2%. Some people might not like the fact that it is such a strong cider, but come on guys, you're a cider drinker, man the hell up. Joking, obviously. Don't unsubscribe to me because I said that. How many people have I just lost? Oh well. Oh, yes. Well, that was another episode of The Cider Drinker for you guys, and I do believe this is actually my first vintage for you as well. Naturally, I will be giving you a couple more vintage ciders. A Thatcher's Vintage is sitting in my fridge as I speak, so that'll be in a later review for sure. But until then, enjoy yourselves. If you're, you know, get the crack open the bottle yourselves, enjoy it because it's very well worth it. But for now, I'm just going to sit back and enjoy myself some Henry Weston's Vintage. So until next time, guys, take care.